We are talking with authors Christopher Pepper and Joanna Schroeder about their brand new book, Talk to Your Boys, right here. 16 conversations to help tweens and teens grow into confident, caring young men. I'm Jennifer L.W. Fink. I am the creator of Building Boys Bulletin. I am a mom of 4 sons also, and I have been waiting for this book ever since it was on Twitter. We were all on Twitter yet when what was then Twitter, when you guys started working on this book, and it is a thrill to have it out in the world.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So I got my copy the day it came out, I believe, and as I was reading it, I love this part. When Joanna became a parent, she believed she could throw all gender-related expectations out the window and start with a clean slate. Then she had a son. That resonated with me so much, Joanna.
Yeah, I remember being, I have a degree in gender studies from UCLA, and so I really thought that I understood exactly how it all worked, right? And then I had a little boy, and what was wild for me was that my husband's brother and his wife, they had a baby 10 days after us. We lived around the corner from each other. We'd all grown up very similarly. Actually, his brother's wife is Dutch American like I am. And
Okay.
I thought, oh my gosh, we're raising these little babies together, a boy and a girl. And then and we gave them all the same toys, all the same influences. And then it was wild. We were in Costco. We had them in that side-by-side stroller. And we got twin babies, like twin baby dolls from they were selling on the shelf. Gave one to Petra and one to Isaac. And Petra rocked hers and burped it. And Isaac took his by the foot, turned around to the back of the cart and went, wham, 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 wham. Now, they both have the gentlest, sweetest dads who changed a million diapers. I was like, what?
And I'm quite sure that your son had never seen anybody grab a baby and slam it against anything.
This ideal babyhood. Like how? What was happening?
I bring that up because it resonates with me and because I think it's so reassuring for a lot of parents who go into parenthood the same way, especially moms. I can't talk as much from the dad perspective because I'm not a dad, but especially moms. We somehow think that them being boys, it's not going to really affect how we parent them. It affects everything. And in hindsight, I feel like I should have known that because if being a woman affects my experience moving through the world, it probably does for guys too. But I did not know that. And that was part of my learning curve as a parent.
Isn't it funny how when we say gender, we think woman or girl?
Yes.
And gender is everybody. Everybody has a gender. And it's just that wild, I'm a gender studies. I focus on gender studies, focus on gender. Like, oh, little girls.
Right. And there's still very much of that in the world today, as I'm sure you have run into so much while researching and working on this book.
Yeah. I mean, I can share an experience that as a kid, I grew up in Wisconsin, and I was a kid who did have a doll. I had a Joey doll who I carried around for 2 or 3 years everywhere, enough to the point where, and I don't think I ever whacked him on the side of anything.
No.
But I did carry that doll around enough that its arm fell off and I had to go back to the doll hospital for a while.
Oh.
And it's, I think people there's a lot of range of experiences that people can have with what it's like to be a boy or what it's like to be a girl. And part of what we're trying to do is just expand that as far as what's acceptable and what's, kids who go outside of those lines, I think particularly boys often get a lot of messages pretty early about what's acceptable and what's not. And that's sort of what we're trying to push against and expand is maybe there's more ways to be a person in the world and more ways to be a boy in the world.
And Jennifer, with 4 boys, you must have had that where it was like, that's how it was even with 2 boys, where it's like, oh yeah, this one did this with the doll, but the next one didn't. And maybe the next one after that had a whole other thing.
While we're talking about dolls, one of my sons, I don't remember how old he was. He was probably 6-ish, probably not as old as 8, 5, 6, somewhere in there. What he wanted for Christmas, and we were still getting toy catalogs where they'd come in the mail and you can circle things. It was this baby doll care center, this plastic baby doll care center. And it had place to changing table and a little sink and a little, I don't know, like powder bottles, whatever they were, the accessories. And, he had a littler brother, so he'd seen all of those things happening. So that's what he wanted for Christmas. And so that's what he got for Christmas. And it was used sometimes, I think it came with a doll. It was used sometimes with that, but Care Bears had undergone a resurgence around that time. So it was frequently used with Care Bears, which
lovely.
And at the same time, we had a very robust collection of every Tonka toy known to mankind and all of those things. And that son, that one in particular, he just turned 25. And I still see online today people who have people freaking out if their son wants a doll. Today.
Yeah.
So, yes. We need to expand our options for all of our children because it turns out, as you both know, as parents and humans in the world, that caring for others, caring for young, caring for old, caring for each other, that is a human experience.
Yeah. Really
and it's
agree
sad
with
that they were limited for so long, that men were limited. My mom was blown away at how my husband would just pick up our babies and change their diapers. She just was blown away. And it's sad that the dads before missed out on such an intimate, loving, fulfilling experience. Not necessarily the diapers, but just that real face-to-face caregiving nurturing.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about why it is so important to talk to our boys. It sounds obvious, and yet it's a topic, a practice, a habit that many of us struggle with, especially when it comes to the tween years, the teen years, which I think are more complicated in a lot of ways than they were when we were growing up. There was not instantaneous access to porn of all kinds and flavors when any of us were children.
I think you're totally right. That's the age that we really focus on. And we can think about these transitions of going into middle school or going into high school. And a big transition that we've added in that's sort of almost like a rite of passage is when does a kid get access to a phone?
Yeah.
And we have not built in much of a ritual around that. We haven't done much to talk about what happened. What does it mean when someone gets a phone, when someone gets access to the internet all the time? What kind of things do they need to be prepared for and be ready for? It just often kind of just happens. And I think when around that same time, we've seen that parents are pulling back quite a bit from actively parenting their kids. There's a sense like, oh, they can kind of manage their own social life now and make plans with their friends. And I don't have to call the parents and arrange things anymore. Kind of nice as a parent to take a step back. But I guess our flag that we want to wave is to say, even though that feels like it feels good to take a step back from that, we want to recognize that boys at that age really still need a lot of guidance, and they are actually looking for and asking for advice and wisdom about what it means to be a man in the world and how to be successful. And if caring adults are not in there in the mix, they are turning to their friends and they're going online for that advice. And the what they find is often not very nurturing.
I love that you said that they are looking for that information. You're absolutely right. That is why so many boys and men are online. They're really looking for that. And in your book, you did such a great job of pointing out ways boys make these bids for attention. And I'm going to encourage listeners and readers to look for that. We don't have time to go into all of it. But as an experienced mom who's raised 4 sons to adulthood, let me tell you that it will not look like them saying, "Mother, I would like your wisdom on this topic. It will not look like that ever. I don't know. At least in my experience. Was yours different, Joanna?
My son, now famously, I've said it so many times, makes a bid for attention by being very aggressive with the silverware drawer. He goes in the kitchen, usually in the evening, and he just opens it, shuts it, and there's not the right spoon, and the forks are in the wrong, and it's meaningless, and he's not an aggressive kid. So I start going,
Something's going
up
on
with this one. Something's up with this one, and it's not violent. It's just loud. So that to me is a bid. And I know I need to just go in there, maybe sit down, not necessarily nearby, next to him, but just be like, how was your day? What's going on? Just engage. I don't even need to talk about the silverware drawer. And usually it comes out.
And sometimes it is just a matter of being in their vicinity until they bring it up. I had that experience a number of times. One of the challenges and one of the reasons why I think it's so important that we have to talk to our boys, Christopher, you mentioned phones. Joanna, it's certainly relevant for all of us. Our boys are exposed to things before we get a chance to talk to them about it. It used to be a bad thing could happen in the world, and we could be the ones to have that conversation at a time and place that maybe worked. If there is a school shooting, if there is a natural disaster, they know about it instantaneously and start seeing voices from everybody else even before they are home. Joanna, how do we broach those conversations on those difficult days? I find myself sometimes, you don't want to, as soon as they come home, go, hey, did you hear about? But I feel like we have to talk about it.
We just did this. We just did this a few days ago with Charlie Kirk being shot. And my kid was in school. I was on a flight to go see Christopher for our book launch. And my niece actually texted me before anyone else that I got in the air because she needed to process it. And to be able to just say, did you see that? How are you feeling about that? I'm really glad I didn't see the video. Did you see the video? I actually texted my son and said, don't watch the video. Okay, because he knew he was in school. I promise you, you don't want to see the video. Christopher told me not to watch it. And we all have to decompress on that together. We all have to talk it through. I actually would rather intercept them before they go into their room and disappear into a hole on it, or before they get out of school and sit in their cars or on the bus and process it. And I think just to be able to let them say what they want to say about it before we judge them or add our own opinions is so key, because I have a lot of feelings about the topic, but I don't know what his are. And if he knows, oh, mom's going to judge me. Mom's going to judge me.
Yes.
It's got to just be like, man, this is huge.
Yes.
How are you feeling about that?
On Charlie Kirk specifically, I think it is important for parents to realize that whether you knew about Charlie Kirk or not before this, your boys likely did.
Yes.
They likely knew of him in some way because of social media, because of the algorithms. What he knew, what he saw may not be the same as what you knew or what you saw. And we can expand this to all kinds of topics.
Yeah.
But Joanna, I loved what you said, just kind of opening the door. What have you heard? How are you doing? What do you think, Christopher?
Christopher's own son asked us about it at our reading,
Oh, it was your son, Christopher.
Yes. So he's 22. He's in college. This is everybody his age knows who Charlie Kirk is. Charlie Kirk came and spoke at their college campus in the last year. So sometimes the young people in our lives just know about cultures and people that we are not that familiar with, or know a lot more about them, or have much more emotional connection. They may be cheering on the side. They may be like celebrating this person's words. They might feel really threatened by this person's words. So I think that taking that stance of just being curious, like, what have you heard about this? There's both the of any human being like watching someone be killed in a violent way and recorded on video. There's just the horror of watching any human being go through that. And then the reaction of who this person was and whatever their connection was or their feelings about them, who and it's somebody that they've seen largely through a screen. That
Yeah.
most people know mostly about Charlie Kirk through videos online and then how people have responded to those videos online. So
And I like letting our kids be the experts in things whenever we can. So if it's Charlie Kirk, let them be an expert in what they know about him. Because what we discovered on that day was that I had only ever seen Charlie Kirk lose his debates, and friends of mine who are on the more conservative side had only ever seen him win his debates because of what the algorithm shows us. So for me to be like, I don't even think what I said was, I don't think he's very smart. And they were like, he's really smart. And I was like, wait, I need to question my own biases here and know that my For You page is probably different than other people's. So letting our kids be experts in what they've seen, even if it's something little. The other day, some kids in art class said to me, 6'7". Oh, 6'7". I was like, what is it? Texted my 17-year-old, what's 6'7"? And I let him educate me instead of assuming.
Okay, and I still don't know that one. So can you please fill me in? I've seen it pop up a little bit and can we talk about it here or no?
It was such a meta experience because I heard about it from a teacher who said their group wanted to name themselves 6'7". She goes, but I asked them what it means and they can't explain it to me. So I said no, which seems great from educator perspective. And so I immediately texted my 17-year-old and he says, it means nothing. And I'm like, but what does it mean? He says, Mom, it's from a song. It literally means nothing. It's almost like a nonsense thing that signifies that you're in the know. And it kind of means like cool, but not even that. Christopher, have you learned anything more interesting about 6'7"?
no, you know more about it than me.
From what I can tell, it means nothing. So I wouldn't worry about it if a kid is saying it. The only indicator is that he's probably online with other young people or best friends with someone who's online, because those things pick up so fast and spread like wildfire.
Because we have everybody's so connected now, it's happening everywhere all at once.
Yes.
It used to be like a fad or a trend would kind of move through, but now it is suddenly everywhere.
Yes.
This question our own biases and let our boys tell us about their experiences, for me, ended up being foundational to talking to my boys. I have my experiences, but I don't know theirs. And so for me, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this as we wrap up. For me, I learned that talking to my boys had to be grounded in listening to them.
Yeah, ultimately you're trying to stay connected. You sort of want to be strategic in that way of like the main goal is to stay connected and keep those lines of communication open.
Right.
And I think sometimes parents or adults get wrapped up in, no, there's a way that I see the world and I need them to know that. And I want to reinforce and make it really clear. And it's totally fine to explain what you think about something. But as kids are growing towards adulthood, part of what you need to do is also recognize like they are becoming their own individual people and they may have beliefs or interests that are different than yours. And part of keeping that relationship alive and being close to them is recognizing them as the individuals that they are becoming. Even if there's some of those things that you're like, I'm never going to be interested in this collectible convention that you want to go to, or
snowmobiles in my case of one of my kids, like,
yes.
I don't know.
But
The video game
if it's the thing that they love, yeah, if it's the thing that they love, one of the ways you can show that you love them is to be interested in it and be open to at least hearing what they're into.
Joanna, what would be your one piece of advice. If I know you wrote a whole book full of advice for parents, but one nugget of wisdom that people can take and maybe put into practice even tonight.
I'm not going to say this is my most important one, but it's the one that's on my mind right now. And it's make space to enjoy your child. Make space to let him be, or any child. This is boys and girls, but especially boys. They get a bad rap. Make space. Open up your mind to allow your kid to be amazing, funny, interesting, insightful, clever, deep. All the things that maybe you weren't expecting from a teenage boy. Just let the possibility bloom.
I love that. Make space to enjoy your child. So often, I think we parents get caught up in all of the serious things that we're trying to convey. And yes, we have to talk about violence and porn, but it's okay to just laugh with them sometimes. Often.
Yep. It's okay to laugh at really dumb stuff. A lot of teenagers love stuff that is nonsense, scatological, absurd, rude. You don't have to be like a clergy member right next to your kid all the time. Like, get silly.
Get silly. The book is Talk to Your Boys. It is out right now. I highly, highly recommend this book. Joanna, Christopher, thank you for your time and thank you for all that you have done for our boys.
Thank you. And thank you for all the work that you've done on this topic.
Yes.
It's been groundbreaking.
Iconic
really
work.
Good luck with the book launch, and I look forward to hearing more from you.
Thank you.